Even the bravest officers have limits. And some forces of darkness push past them. Strange shadows.
No mames.
Unexplainable figures and chilling presences turned routine patrols into nightmares. Watch closely. These are the encounters that defy all logic. Dare to see what they faced? Let's begin. In 2021, police were called to a quiet neighborhood in Brazil after residents reported strange sounds coming from the nearby woods. An officer went in to investigate, and soon after, a sharp, human-like scream echoed through the trees. His body camera caught the moment he froze, then turned and ran back toward his car. A year later, similar reports came from the same stretch of forest, same screams, same hour. Locals say that years ago, that patch of land was part of an unfinished housing project that stopped after a mysterious incident. Many workers lost their lives in it. Since then, no one's managed to build anything there again. Hallway entity. A police officer went to check an abandoned building in Pennsylvania after reports of strange sounds. From the moment he stepped inside, the place felt wrong with heavy air, a faint electric hum, like the building itself was alive. His flashlight beam shook as he moved through narrow corridors. Then suddenly, the light showed a shape that was a tall shadow, perfectly still, as if waiting. The officer froze with heart pounding. He backed away slowly and somehow made it out. Later, when technicians checked the spot, they found high electromagnetic readings, the kind usually seen near lightning strikes, not empty rooms. Ghostly encounter. In a quiet Ohio village, locals reported movement inside a long, abandoned house. The place had been untouched for years, its story marked by the sudden loss of a family's only child. When cops reached and entered with flashlights, they were shocked. In one of the doors stood a small figure, motionless, staring back. They put a flashlight on its face to see it clearly, but it showed no movement. Locals later said the height and clothes matched the child who once lived there. The officers never returned to that property again. Flat being. Noah, a constable in Bonnie, Texas, was riding home around 2 a.m. when he saw something in white ahead on the road. As he passed, he saw its long black hair and an eerie face that was not clear due to the darkness. But more strangely, he realized its body wasn't three-dimensional at all. It looked paper-thin, almost pressed against the air itself. He didn't stop, didn't slow down, just kept driving. When he checked his helmet camera later, the figure wasn't there. The recording showed an empty road, but he was sure about what he saw that night and never took that road home again. Road Witch. In 2017, a police patrol car in Saudi Arabia was driving through a deserted road when the dashcam caught something ahead. A lone figure walking in the center, wearing a white dress with long, dark hair covering her face. The officer flashed the headlights, and she turned toward the car. As the car reversed, she kept walking closer until the feed suddenly went dark. When investigators reviewed the footage later, they noticed something odd. The road lights flickered seconds before she appeared, as if her presence distorted the power grid itself. Eerie entity. In a remote Indian village in 2024, two friends were walking home when they saw something they still refused to describe in detail. On the road ahead, a figure was bent unnaturally, moving on all fours, its head twisted toward them. One of them shouted, but it didn't stop. It just crawled closer. Terrified, they ran. Later, they told villagers what they saw, and one elder mentioned the road was built over an old riverbed, a place once used for rituals that were meant to call spirits from the ground. Whether by coincidence or not, no one takes that road anymore after dark. Invisible child. During his patrol in a shopping mall in Mexico, a security guard noticed a little girl sitting alone at a table. Concerned, he gently asked where her mother was. The girl said she was waiting. Surveillance footage later showed the guard talking, gesturing, even patting something on the head, but the camera showed no one there. When he radioed for help, his team insisted there was nobody beside him. Moments later, another camera caught him stepping back in confusion before he ran out of the hall. Since then, that section of the mall has remained closed after hours. Mysterious building.
Security. I just want to talk.
It happened in Texas in 2023, when a security guard noticed movement in a building that had been sealed for years. The place was abandoned, locked from every side. But one night he saw lights turned on, and a shadow drifted past one of the top windows.
Yeah, it's still there.
Okay. What's happening with the lights? Because I'm looking
the lights are
hallway, and I can't see. I literally see nothing.
The lights are off right now. Oh, it just moved. It just moved.
At first, he thought it was a reflection, until he looked into another window. There were two figures standing still, as if watching him. He started recording, but moments later, both figures vanished. The next morning, police checked every floor, but nothing was disturbed. Strangely, the dust inside showed no footprints, but the clip said it all. Unexpected sight. Neighbors called the police in a quiet town in Poland after hearing strange growls from an abandoned house. Thinking it was an animal or an intruder, officers went in to check. But as they reached one of the rooms, they froze, hearing loud banging from inside the wall. When they finally broke in, they found a woman crouched inside a hollow space. The way she was growling made her look possessed. Her appearance was not clearly visible, but one of the residents still recognized her as Camila, the former owner of the house who'd been sent to a mental facility years ago. No one knows how she got back, or what kept her inside that wall. House inspection. A police officer was assigned to check an abandoned property before its renovation into a hotel. He filmed the inspection for record-keeping, walking through the dusty halls and empty rooms. Then, behind a cracked wall, something massive moved. The man was terrified when he saw a figure with glowing eyes and a giant form that looked devilish. The cop was looking at it in disbelief when all of a sudden, it rushed toward him and the camera stopped recording. Without any further information, we do not know what happened to the cop, but one thing is certain. This was something demonic living there. Vanishing shadow. While reviewing CCTV footage from a hospital in 2024, a guard froze at what he saw. There was a dark shadow sprinting down the empty corridor. It moved fast, almost gliding, before vanishing completely beyond the camera's frame. No other security feed caught it anywhere. Thinking it might be an intruder, he called the police. They searched every hallway, every exit, but found nothing. What unsettled them most wasn't just that the figure disappeared, but that motion sensors in that corridor had never triggered at all. Backward walker. This retired Sheriff Martin William recorded this while returning home late one night in 2023. On the roadside, his flashlight caught a strange being standing still. The person, or what looked like one, had a weird face and colorless eyes. When the officer called out, the figure began moving backward at a fast speed without turning around. The clip ended right there without even showing what happened next, but the man was never seen again. Days later, his camera was found damaged, but experts managed to retrieve this footage. No one knows what it was, but one thing is clear, that the figure was nothing from this world. Plane mystery.
No mames.
On November 23, 2018, at Mexico City's airport, Francisco Hernandez was wrapping up his late shift when he heard doors slamming inside a parked aircraft. Thinking it was maintenance, he went in to check. The plane was empty, lights off, and every door secured. Still, something moved ahead. Through his flashlight beam, a shadow leaned out from behind a seat. It was tall, still. Watching that made Francisco freeze. The security team later confirmed no one was on board, but his camera audio captured faint metallic knocks even after he left the plane.
No mames.
Aviation staff avoid that hangar now, saying it never feels truly empty. Masked beings. In 2016, police in Menasha, Wisconsin, began receiving calls about masked figures chasing cars through quiet streets. Thinking it was a prank, officers went to check, but their dash cam captured something unsettling. Two men dressed as clowns, standing still on the roadside, unmoved by headlights or sirens. When the officers stepped out, the figures didn't flinch or speak. It felt more like being watched than confronting pranksters. Later, the men were taken in for disturbing the peace, but what if they were hiding something darker? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Spooky encounter.
Yo, what the is that? What the is that?
Back in 2019, the man named Leo returned from England to his family's old home in Savannah, a house untouched for half a century. As he stood outside, he saw movement in the top window. There was a dark figure moving back and forth. He started recording it on his phone, thinking it might be a trespasser. But as Leo went closer, his camera stopped working, and he ran out of the area. Locals later told him that many old Savannah houses were built using recycled materials from burned-down estates, some with charred wood still intact. They believe such remnants carry dark energies. After hearing this, the man sold the house soon after and never returned.
What the is that?
Possession or what? Around 2016 in Mexico, several people recorded a girl known as Sofia. She would appear on empty roads at night, chasing random cars and behaving strangely, as if guided by something unseen. Witnesses said her movements were unnatural, scary, and jerky. Many of them said that she was struggling with some mental condition, but the majority of them believed that she was possessed and took her to an exorcist. What happened after remains unknown, but Sophia was never seen in that area again. Possessed woman. In 2023, a police officer in the Philippines responded to a commotion inside a busy mart. A woman was shouting and moving her hands as if trying to ward off something unseen. When the officer approached, she raised her hand toward him, trying to back him off, and the footage suddenly glitched. The video ended abruptly, but those who saw it said her movements didn't seem human. The woman seemed to be under the control of some dark power. Her movements looked possessed. Gettysburg March.
Right there. See? Look.
Back in 2001, a group of trainee officers visiting Gettysburg captured one of the most talked about recordings in police archives. While testing an old handycam, they noticed shadows moving along the rocks near the historic field. The figures looked like soldiers, walking in formation, then slowly fading back into the trees. There was no fog, no people nearby, and no sound except the faint sound of marching. The clip still circulates online as one of the eeriest moments caught by officers on camera. Medieval figure. During a late-night patrol in Pulau Ubin, Singapore, a police officer noticed movement near an old trail. He began recording, and through the dim light, a figure in what looked like medieval clothing walked across the path. It was walking slowly, and the camera could capture just a glimpse of it, but enough to make him leave that area. The officer later confirmed there were no reenactments or costumes in that area. The footage left him and his department guessing how something dressed centuries out of time could appear in the middle of a modern island. What do you guys think it was? Comment below. Vanishing car. This old police chase clip from 2008 resurfaced online, leaving everyone baffled. The footage showed a car drifting in the middle of an empty road at night. Officers followed close behind, but suddenly the car vanished mid-turn. It didn't crash or stop. It simply disappeared. The dashcam data showed no cut, no break, just one clean frame missing. Some believe it was a glitch. Others point out that the area where it happened was once an old highway stretch closed after several mysterious crashes, and this ghost car might be one of them, still driving and spooking people. Unknown crawler. In Paraguay, South America, an abandoned building was once used as a fire station, but residents started reporting movements inside it at night. When officers arrived, their flashlights caught a glimpse of something crawling across the ground. The moment they stepped closer, it slipped away and vanished. It appeared on camera for just a second, and the cops could not see its clear appearance or anything. The figure was never seen again. No one knows what it was, and with no follow-up, the encounter remained a mystery. Unnoticed encounter. 2024 brought this chilling footage from Indonesia. It showed a security guard recording a casual video message for his family during a night shift at an aging hospital. The place was long rumored to hold traces of its past. When he replayed the clip later, something froze him cold. Outside the window, a faint face of an elderly woman could be seen, staring directly in. The office had no ledge or balcony, nothing to stand on. The next day, maintenance checked the exterior, and there was no sign of anyone climbing up. The guard believed it wasn't a stranger, but a spirit of someone who once stayed there and never truly left. Eerie figure. A troop was sent to investigate reports of missing residents near a wooded area in Malaysia. They went deeper, looking around, but found nothing until a strange shape appeared between the trees. It was a figure draped entirely in white that started walking away. One of the officers tried to zoom in, but before the image could focus, the figure slipped behind the trees and disappeared. Locals later said it matched the description of the pocong, a ghostly form said to wander where restless souls remain. Many now believe that's what took those missing residents. Upside-down entity. In 2022, a group of friends in Indonesia captured a short clip that quickly spread online. Walking along an empty road, their camera caught something crouched ahead, a humanoid figure moving in an inverted posture, its glowing eyes fixed on them. They stopped, frozen, as it started to crawl toward them. The footage was only seconds long, but enough to give chills. No one knows what happened to the group later or where the figure went, but online viewers named it the Ghostly White Lady. Hanging woman. The man was driving back home when something caught his eye by the roadside. On a tree branch, a woman dressed in white with long black hair was hanging by a tree branch. The darkness hid her face, but her figure was clear enough to make his hands tremble on the camera. As he tried to zoom in, the frame jolted and the recording cut off. It was not the first time someone saw her. She looked like that churrail we all have heard about in Asian ghost tales. Roadside shadow. After leaving a party, a woman drove alone through an empty road in Arizona. Her dash cam kept rolling, recording every quiet stretch. But when she reviewed the footage later, a faint figure appeared. It was a shadowy person walking along the roadside, almost blending with the dark. She swore no one was there when she passed, but the footage showed it walking. What could it be? A passerby? A spirit? or some other entity? Let me know in the comments. Ghost Jim. Not just humans, ghosts are also interested in fitness. In 2020, police in India went to a public park after reports of strange activity at an open-air gym. When they arrived, they saw machines moving on their own, weights lifting, swings rocking, without a single person in sight. The officers inspected for remote controls or hidden pranksters, but found nothing. Many believe the place was haunted by an otherworldly being. Park watcher. A group of friends decided to visit a park in Thailand after hearing rumors of strange figures seen there at night. They reached the locked gate and started filming, laughing nervously. But soon their laughter stopped, and a tall, blurry shape appeared in the distance, walking toward them in an unnatural, floating way. None of them could tell what it was. They looked at each other, frozen, and when they turned back, it was gone. The park was once home to a shrine that was moved years ago, and now it is believed that such figures still guard that ground. Moving chair. A hospital security guard in Mexico was doing his routine night patrol when he noticed a wheelchair placed at the far end of the hallway. Hours later, on his second round, it wasn't where he left it. The CCTV showed it slowly moving in the corridor, turning corners as if someone invisible was pushing it. No one was around. The guard said it was the only time he ever felt something unexplainable inside that hospital. He could not make sense of how it moved on its own. Was it a prank, or something invisible was behind it? Unknown apparition. A couple in Georgia went to check out a house listed for sale. It looked quiet and empty, just as the agent said. But as they stepped closer, the man froze when a pale, blurry face appeared in one of the windows, staring right at them. Within seconds, it faded away. The house had been locked for months, yet neighbors often claimed to see someone watching from those same windows. No one ever lived there long enough to find out why, and this couple also did not dare to... Strange woman. In Ohio, a man went on a walk with his dogs late one night when he noticed a figure standing motionless at a distance. He raised his flashlight. It was a woman in what looked like a wedding dress. Before he could call out, she began walking into the darker part of the woods. He followed with his light, but she was gone. No sign she'd ever been there.
¿Qué es eso?
There were rumors that a few years ago, a bride vanished nearby on her way to the church, and since then, people passing that area sometimes catch a glimpse of her still waiting to arrive. Cemetery watcher. During his night shift, a security guard patrolling a graveyard noticed movement between the headstones. Expecting trespassers, he aimed his flashlight toward the noise and caught a quick glimpse of something ducking behind a grave. It wasn't shaped like a person, but it was watching him. The footage only captured a fleeting moment before it vanished into the dark. The guard, a veteran of night duty, said it felt like being observed by something that belonged to that place. He was so terrified that he never worked at night again. Wall jumper. In 2022, a man in China checked his home surveillance footage after hearing strange noises outside. What he found left him speechless. A figure that was thin and fast darted across the frame, leaping from wall to ground with inhuman speed. Its movement looked nothing like a person. Too quick, too weightless. The man believed it to be a witch, but others who saw the footage called it a camera glitch. Whatever it was, the sight left the man unsettled. School spirits.
Hay nadie. Y el momento de entrar en esa puerta rechinó algo.
A well-known school became the center of attention after this viral clip. This man was on a video call when his camera captured a faint figure of a woman standing behind a classroom door. He was terrified and ran away.
Hay nadie. Y el momento de entrar en esa puerta rechinó algo.
Students had already complained about whispers and footsteps echoing through empty halls. Old photographs from the school archives even showed ghostly shapes near students' faces. The school authority says the building was built over an older structure long forgotten, and these are the ones who never left. Hospital shadow.
A ver ahí en la ventana. Ahí, que se vea algo así.
At a hospital in Michigan, a security guard heard a loud noise coming from the hallway. As he went to check, he caught a glimpse of a shadow figure behind the door. The footage only showed it for a second, but its presence was unmistakable. Strangely, that same morning, a patient had passed away under unexplained circumstances in that very wing. Since then, the staff believed that it was the restless spirit of that patient. Roadside mist. In 2024, a night guard noticed movement on the security monitor. He stepped outside but saw nothing, yet the camera had recorded it clearly. A smoke-like shadow forming on the roadside, hovering for a moment before fading into thin air. The road had no fog that night, and no cars passed by. When the guard slowed the footage down, it looked almost like a person made of mist, crossing to the other side and disappearing. Vanishing figure.
Burada fark ettim. Dışarı çıktım. Baktım kayboldu.
This security officer in Maryland was monitoring the road when his camera suddenly distorted. He rewound the footage and froze. A tall white figure had appeared briefly in the middle of the street, its form shifting like smoke before walking out of frame. He rushed outside, but found nothing. Maryland is famous for its haunted houses and ghost stories, and this clip just added weight to them. The figure seemed to be a wandering ghost. Mirror face. Late one night in California, a group of police officers was patrolling an empty stretch of road known for eerie rumors. Locals claimed a lady spirit appeared to travelers after dark. The officers didn't notice anything strange until later, when reviewing their dashcam footage. In the car's side mirror, an eerie face appeared for a brief second. It looked exactly how witnesses had described the ghost. The reflection was unclear, but too real. It couldn't have been a trick of light. Yet, when they went back the next day, there was no sign of anyone on that road. Forest entity. In Alaska, rangers had installed motion sensor cameras high up in the trees to track wildlife at night. But when they reviewed the footage, something unexpected appeared. A tall figure, slim, human-like, standing in between the tree branches. Long hair covered its face, and its posture didn't match any animal or human they knew. Some of the team believed it wasn't a person at all, and they were right. The figure looked like Pichelle Perry, a demonic female ghost. Midnight swing. The farmer set up a camera in his field after noticing the soil was disturbed every morning. What the footage showed was unsettling. A young girl swinging alone under a tree, her eyes glowing faintly, her hair tangled as if she hadn't moved from that spot in days. At one point, she lunged toward the tree, and the recording cut instantly. Some locals said the girl had mental health issues and wandered at night, but her movements looked far too controlled, almost as if something else was guiding her. Moving lid. In a hospital in Brazil, a night guard reviewing CCTV noticed a trash bin lid spinning slowly on its own. The hallway was empty, and there was no draft or machinery nearby. Staff later checked the hallway and found nothing unusual, but many believe the hospital's energy isn't ordinary. They say objects there often move when no one's around, as if the place remembers the people who never left it. Roadside bride. This Texas police officer was driving home after a late shift in 2025 when he noticed a woman standing by the roadside, signaling for a ride. She wore a white gown, like a wedding dress, and a thin veil covered her face. The officer didn't stop, but his dashcam recorded her unnatural white skin and no visible movement as the car passed. When he slowed down to look back, the road was completely empty. Since then, several drivers have reported seeing the same bride, always in the same place, waiting for someone to pull over. Knocking window. A night security guard at a private clinic in Alaska was patrolling the empty corridors when he saw a pale hand tapping on one of the windows. He hurried inside the room, expecting a patient or trespasser, but it was completely empty. The window was locked from the inside. He replayed the footage, and the knocking hand was clearly visible. The rest of the figure, however, never appeared on the camera, just that single hand tapping from the other side of the glass. Spooky exploration. A group of explorers was wrapping up their visit to an abandoned building when something strange happened. As they headed for the exit, the door behind them slammed shut. The man tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. They ran toward the main exit door, but it shut on its own too. Their flashlights caught nothing. No movement, no person nearby. Then, one by one, their cameras began to glitch and power off. The footage ends there, but their exploration did not end well, as if the place itself didn't want them to leave. Dark shadow. A security officer checking overnight footage from a local basketball court noticed something unusual. Around 2 a.m., a tall, shadow-like figure appeared in the court. It moved across with slow, deliberate steps, then dissolved into thin air before reaching anywhere. The lights didn't flicker, and the motion detectors didn't react. The mist might be the soul of some demised former player still living the moment. Sewer mystery. In India, residents gathered around a street drain after witnessing bright orange gas seeping from it. A cleaner tried to lift the lid, but it wouldn't budge, even with tools. Officials later claimed it was just a buildup of underground gases, but locals had a different story. They said the sewer connected to an old tunnel once used by secret ritual groups decades ago. For them, that sewer's strange fumes weren't just chemicals escaping. It was something long buried, trying to come back out. Unknown spheres.
Oh, que porra é essa?
This couple driving through a rural highway in Texas in 2017 witnessed something they couldn't explain. Floating orbs of yellow light appeared in front of their car, moving at the same speed and maintaining their distance, as if they were observing.
Oh, que porra é essa?
The woman filmed it, thinking it might be drone lights, but the lights made no sound and did not chase them. In Texas, tales of ghost lights have existed for years, but this was the first time police were called to investigate them in real time. Giant apparition. In 2025, a security camera outside a police station captured something enormous rushing toward the building around 3 a.m. At first, it looked like fog rolling in, but then the shape became clearer, towering, almost humanoid. The entity moved with speed and vanished just before reaching the camera. Some officers called it a technical glitch. Others said it looked like something made of light and shadow combined. To this day, no one has been able to explain what raced toward that station in the middle of the night. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.